Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Dat Guys. I'm Daniel McCarthy, and we have the Truck and Review channel here on the screen. And this is where we keep our hands on the pulse of the nation.
That's what we're here to do, Daniel. And boy, has this been a rough week for freight, world economies, and nations all over the place. It's all doom and gloom, but I'm sure there's a silver lining to come out of it in the end.
I think there will be too. I'm especially hopeful, anyway.
Right, we're gonna have hope, but right now a lot of people are feeling like there is very little hope in anything.
Right. Um, Before we get started, there was a question that I wanted to ask you, and because you got 29, 30 years of experience. The spot market now is viewed as a tool where you're going to get all your freight. That's your business model. That's your platform for new owner operators. What was the spot market initially created for, or what's the history of the spot market? Could you kind of give a history lesson on that?
The spot market, when computers came along, it was excellent, right? Before that, we just had the Datboards and the truck stops, but spot market was used for backhauls. That there were some wildcatters out there that used it all the time, but they didn't use it like they use it now. They were using more. They was making contacts in their own way and hauling directly. But now that we have the spot market, a lot of people have got into it as that's their viable business. That they think that is their business model. This is a prime example of why spot market is not meant to be a business. It's meant for backhauls. You want some of your own contract carriers. Even if you're a small carrier, you had some people that you filled out packages with, and you was going to haul their stuff directly.
Right.
And that's the way it's meant to be.
And even with one truck, you can get direct customers. One truck, one trailer.
Everybody thinks about that trailer pool option, which is a wonderful option. I believe Schneider has 50,000 trailers. Can you imagine the power that they have when they go into a business and want to store your freight for months or weeks before it even ships?
Yeah.
You can't do that as a little guy, but you can pick up direct customers. Sometimes direct customer freight pays really well, but it's steady, and that's the important thing.
Yep. Cut out the sitting at the truck stops and waiting and waiting and waiting to get rolling.
Well, that's it. Everyone has got this mindset of I'm not hauling cheap freight. If you shouldn't operate below cost if you can help on a regular basis, right?
Right.
You want to be in the profit margin. But let's say that you spend 3 days setting to pick up a $3 a mile load, or even more. Or how about this scenario? That $3 a mile load cancels after setting for 3 days.
Yeah.
Now you're back into, you just lost your week. It's gone. I would have rather hauled something for, $1.50. My cost is well below that, but I'd take $1.50 and be happy with it and say I'm still making profit here.
I agree with
anyway,
that.
You want to get into these van rates?
Yeah, let's take a look at these van rates. Let's see how they're doing.
Okay. Well, let's look at the volume first. All right, the van volume across the nation is looking really, really bad for everybody. California's looking good though. 2,300 in, 2,100 out. Illinois is another strong state. 2,700 in and 2,600 out.
Indiana's not great, but it's not horrible compared to.
Being close to Illinois, that really brings up your volume.
Right.
I'm just scanning down through here. Ohio's pretty weak, not terrible. Virginia, no. Where was that? Texas, no. You see 3,300 in, 1,700 out. They both look like big numbers, but it's still a big discrepancy. You want to look at some van rates out of Illinois?
Yeah, let's check out Illinois' van rates out of there.
Let's do it. Right. We'll just start up in Chicago. Well, hell, it just disappeared on me. There it is. And let's go to Texas.
From Chicago
Hello?
to Texas usually was a good run, good lane when I was out there.
Yes, I agree. Okie dokie. Okay, it starts right off here with an Indianapolis to Garland, Texas. 1,750 days of moving average, 893 miles. There's not an offer price on it, but you can use that moving average to begin your negotiations.
Right, it gives you a starting point. That's one thing I liked about the DAT boards is it has a lot of tools at your disposal for
Now,
that.
right now in this particular market, I can see that you starting with that moving average and not getting that moving average. They get a much lower price.
I could see that.
Mansfield, Ohio to Texas. Moving average, 7-day moving average is 1,498. The trip's 1,033 miles. The same thing. Nothing on this offer thing. That's just a place for you to start at, right?
Right. Yeah, anytime I called on a load, if it was a good rate and I was making good profit off of it, I would just accept the offer.
Right.
But at the same time, depending on where you're going, if I was going to New Mexico, I would try to get $200-300 more than what they were offering, even if it was a good rate, because 9 times out of 10, I'm deadheading to New Mexico or another state, Colorado, to pick up a load. But it's a very good spot.
Okay, I have one here from Ashton, Illinois, 43,000 pounds. It is factorable, and it has an offer. So let's actually look at it. 7-day moving average, Daniel, is $2,038. The trip is 1,185 miles. You want to know what the offer is, Daniel?
Yes, I do.
$1,067. We will call that half of what the 7-day moving average is.
Right.
It's under $1 a mile. It's about 97 cents a mile gross. That's awful. I'm not going to haul that for 97 cents. In this market, I would go home if this is the best I could find.
Right.
St. Elmo, Illinois to Oklahoma City. It's 588 miles. You can factor this load. The 15-day moving average is $947. The offer is $700.
I know the fuel is cheap, but that's really cutting into all the profit.
Yeah. You can't operate on that. I mean, not for, you're going to have to run a lot more miles if you're going to operate on that.
Now, if you got a brand new truck and trailer and you got high payments, it's better to break even than to go under.
That's a fact, and a lot of people aren't thinking about that. That's why we have savings accounts and maintenance accounts, is
right.
For the kind of time.
Yeah, because this bad time will bounce back. Who knows how long it's going to take, but it will bounce back.
Yes, it will, but it might be a year. They're talking about this lasting longer than we thought. Although some states are getting ready to open back up, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at this point.
Right.
St. Louis to Garland, Texas, 637 miles. Moving average, $1,089 on 7 days. Offer is $800, which at least it's over $1 a mile.
Right.
637 miles, $800. I'd probably move that cheap freight if it's one drop. 15,000 pounds. Yeah, we're taking that one.
Is that a full or a partial?
Full.
Full.
Yes, definitely taking that load.
Because right now in this market, if you were good with running partials, you could actually still make pretty decent money.
Right. Didn't we was going to look at let's just glance at the reefer volumes, okay?
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, that's flatbed. We do not want to do flatbed yet. We are going to come back to flatbed though. So therein is a story, I believe. Okay, now I'm going to scan down through reefers. If there's anything pops out at you, have at it.
Well, you could definitely tell that the market, the southern border, is having a conflict with freight coming across, because if you look at Arizona, Nogales, Arizona is a big vegetable fruit freight hub coming through, and Arizona only has 171 loads coming out right now.
Right. California, even in its produce season, 1,000 loads out, 1,289 in. That is a doable market. That's not terrible, but you're going to be bringing in trucks from Arizona and even Nevada.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be thought about. But nothing looks good on this market here at all. Oh, New Jersey. New Jersey's a flush. They're 302 in, 327 out.
Wow.
But how many trucks are sitting in the truck stops right now? The truck stops are full, and the drivers are sitting in the seats. I really feel like that at this point, a lot of people need to go home. The people that are out there would see a rate increase if a lot of people went home. If you're financially, I'm not back out on the market at the moment because I have what I need, and I know I can run X amount of loads, and I'm waiting for a load right now, right? But I'm waiting for my house. I'll haul out, then hit back. I'll wait here. Okay, there's nothing good on the reefer market.
Well, Texas, low. Texas is not good on reefer.
It is not. Somebody wanted us to look at the flatbed, I believe.
Right. Yep. Look at the flatbed rates, and we'll see how they're doing, or the volume. Oh, it's almost depressing to look at some of these volumes, compared to last year and definitely the year before. That
Illinois is strong. Yeah, Illinois is the only strong state, but they're going to bring in everybody from Indiana, a lot of from Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin,
Missouri.
Yeah, they're all going to flock there, aren't they? So tomorrow, Illinois volumes will probably be terrible because there'll be such an influx of trucks in the flatbed market, in every market actually. But back in my day, we didn't just run a flatbed, right? I was a flatbed, but I had a van too. And a lot of times when the markets did this, I'd hook onto a van and switch my everything. I'd haul a van until things picked up. A lot of times in the wintertime, I'd get rid of that flatbed and park it and haul that van. It was it's a good option to have, to go and buy $8,000 or $9,000 trailer and keep it sitting around just for such times.
Right.
Of course, you're not going to be doing a lot better with a van right now versus a flatbed, but you will have something to haul.
Yeah, Texas is weak on the flatbed open deck. I mean, I would suggest pulling up like RGN or oversize or double drop, but if the flatbed market is looking like this, then
no, it tanks.
Yeah, it's going to be even worse than this.
This article that I drug up this article you was talking about the spring produce season.
Yep.
Would you like to read that?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. DAT released an article titled "Will Spring Produce Stabilize Trucking?" This is Mark Montag. He's a industry pricing expert. I'll just kind of read through this a little bit because it would take a long time for us to go through this whole article. You guys can sign up for DAT's emails, and you can get all these articles for free. You just go to their site and sign up for it. The recent news has been all about the downturn in freight volumes and the lower rates with accompany smaller volumes. Whenever freight markets go soft, they analyze and like to look at changes that can help pull us out of the current pattern. In the midst of such gloom about freight markets, we look for some positives that can help us through the next couple of months. This market with the recession, with the coronavirus, the automotive markets and several other markets have taken a huge hit during this downtime, and like the hospitality, the food warehouses, the producers, there's talk about vegetables being dumped in fields. Dairy farmers are dumping milk because everything's full that does have it, or they can't move it right now. Or there's plant shutdowns for like pork and poultry and stuff like that. And of course, I'm just kind of paraphrasing this because I've already read it. But they're hopeful to see if, the California harvest looks strong right now. There was a couple cold snaps throughout the country that hurts a lot of the produce season going into the spring. Strawberries are under harvest right now from California. That's 19% of the California market. More coming from Santa Maria. That's 35% of the market share by early May. And it's just, the article goes through too also that Florida takes a big hit in the produce. Most of Florida's produce is geared towards the hospitality network or the market. So it doesn't actually go to your grocery stores. A lot of these chain suppliers of the vegetables are trying to retrofit their company and go from a bulk seller to individual so they can start selling this stuff to the general consumer. And that's not an easy task within itself. So this article really goes into a little bit more direct concerns on how they're doing this, and hopefully it could help stabilize the market by putting a lot more freight out there.
I'll put a link to everything we discussed in the description.
That'll work.
Okay. I was also looking at this. I think that this is a major thing, okay? As far as when you're running a business, you cannot look at the markets through a chasm of your front yard. You have to look globally and see what's happening everywhere. I watch freight markets and stock markets and everything all over the world because there's a ripple effect to everything. All right. Now, this article is from it's FreightWaves, okay? And it's about the U.S. import plunge inevitable as canceled selling mounts. This spurred me to sell off some of my shipping stocks the other day because this is a very true article. All right, we've all seen these huge mega ships that bring in the containers, right? Container ships. Well, the volume. Let's see, what's the volume? Okay, here's the staggering numbers. According to Copenhagen-based Sea Intelligence, 435 deep sea sailing ships have been blanked. That means canceled through this past Sunday as carriers return services levels because of the coronavirus reduced demand. That equates to a loss of 7 million 28-foot equivalent units. That's the container, right? Capacity to Europe and the U.S. Now, a lot of this is freight coming here that's going to go into our stores that is not going to be going into our stores now. So there's going to be even less trucks needed because of this. These are big box retailers and stuff like that. Further cancellations were announced after the C intelligence report was released, including selling by the 2 Million Alliance, Merrick, MC, Hapog Lloyd. I hold stock in this, all right, until the other day. It's gone. Carriers are exhibiting a high degree of capacity management discipline during the coronavirus pandemic, asserted C Intelligence Alan Murphy, citing the shipping industry's forceful response to the market downturn. Forward visibility. Volumes arriving at American seaports are inherently limited by the capacity of inbound container ships. That capacity can be determined well in advance through the selling schedule. Announced departures, cancellations now extend until the end of July. It takes about 14 to 22 days for a container ship to transit from China to Los Angeles or Long Beach, California. It can take around 30 to 40 days from Asia to the East Coast ports. This is a delay already for 40 days out, because it has to be processed, it has to be brought in, processed, moved before it ever thinks about reaching a shelf in a store. So this is going to be further truck volumes being posted. This hasn't even hit yet.
No, I think we're just in the beginning waves of feeling the slap from the coronavirus.
Yes, I do too. Okay, which one would you like to go over now, sir?
Let's look at the what's the for the small truckers. The demand is falling off a cliff. I think that kind of ties into what we were just talking about.
That's the Wall Street Journal, I believe.
This is the Wall Street Journal.
Let's see if I can get it to come up, because sometimes there it is. All right, Wall Street Journal. I do like the Wall Street Journal. For American small truckers, demand is falling off the cliff. You want to take this one, Daniel?
Yeah. As you guys can see on the screen, on the front picture, it's got a bunch of trucks lined up, and the caption underneath that says, trucking companies with 6 or fewer trucks made up more than 90% of the carriers in the U.S. trucking market in 2018. Just think about how many companies out there of the little guy that hauls all the freight. It's hard to wrap your head around if you actually think when you look how big these mega companies are. Tony Snye has spent much of the past month working the phones to find shipments to get his trucks back on the road. So far, the owner of a small Richmond, Virginia-based trucking company has come up dry. He stated that there's no freight. No freight at all, said Mr. Snye, the owner of Sam Trucking, LLC. He later on goes to say, loads that would have paid $1,000 last month when a rush to restock grocery stores briefly lifted businesses now fetch $300 or less, he said. That isn't enough to cover the pay for the drivers, the fuel, other costs for a 7-truck fleet, which is now sitting and parked. He said, nobody can survive a 6 months like this, Mr. Snye said. How can I pay for my guys, the payments on trucks, and the insurance? Which is valid, concerns and worries.
Now, what I did is I contacted my lenders, and every one of my lenders moved. They stopped my payments for 3 months. One of those lenders said that if we need to go 6 months, they will happily do 6 months deferment without any kind of penalty or anything, not interest. I mean, I was so surprised and happy with the results of that. I mean, that's huge that they're willing to back me up 6 months. That's why I can sit here. I'm not going into my savings making a $5,000 truck note. Yes, guys, my truck note's $5,000. Isn't that terrible? But you know what truck
It says that fleets of all sizes are getting hit by the downturn. Some of the big trucking companies are slashing executive pay and pulling back spending. I know there's a lot of companies out there, too, that are furloughing company staff. People that are working at home, if they can do without it, they're going to furlough those. They're furloughing mechanics and I guess local drivers at some companies that they're also furloughing right now.
Right. There was an article. Now, we all heard about this in the news the other day. It's where some guys got together and shut down 610 in Houston, right?
I did see about that.
I really feel the trucker did this article on this, and it says owner operators feel pain of rate decline due to pandemic protests blocks freeway in Houston. Some truck drivers were given Class C misdemeanors, actually. And there's a lot of talk about this. I feel bad for these guys. We're one of those guys that are out there trying to make money. But that also talks to the business model of, I bet they don't have a lot of savings or, I mean, as truck drivers, we tend to spend as human beings. A lot of times we spend more than we make or more than we should, and we're not into a savings mentality. This might teach people about saving, I really feel for these guys. There were 75 truckers were issued misdemeanor citations for impeding traffic on Houston's East Loop Freeway on April the 20th. Another person was arrested and charged with inciting a riot and obstructing a pathway. Both were charged misdemeanors, according to the Houston police chief.
Now, when it comes to the low rates, I understand the frustration from a company side, an owner operator. And I also understand the business model quite a bit from the broker side. I'm actually getting ready to take a broker class and all kinds of stuff to understand the other side of the business more so than what I do now. When I was a company driver, when I was an owner operator, all I ever heard was owner operators saying the brokers are ripping us off. It's their fault. And I'm sure there's a lot of brokers out there that do it. There's a lot of truck drivers out there that are going to take every penny they can get, and just milk a broker dry. And the brokers are pointing fingers at us. We're pointing fingers at them. Who actually sets the lane rates or the shipping rates for this freight?
The shipper absolutely sets the rate. The broker will then try to move that load, taking his percentage. It would be nice to know what percentage the broker is getting, so you know if he's a fair broker or not. But that's the only thing I'd like to see. I'd like to know what they're keeping.
I would too. I know that I've hauled loads in the past, and I would get to the shipper, pick up the load, and I ask questions. The worst thing that someone's going to say is no to me. I would ask the shipper, hey, what are you guys paying to ship this load? And there's been some loads that I was getting paid more than they were negotiated with the broker to move the load for. So the broker was losing. Other times I picked up a load in Ohio going to Washington. I got paid, $40-something $100 to move that load. That load actually paid $8,000 to go up there. So the broker kept, almost 50% of the load. So
now, see, you make a great point there. Sometimes the broker will go into his pocket to move a load, so he keeps a shipper happy that he's doing regular business with. But on other loads, he makes it up. And what does that sound like in a way? If you go to Walmart and buy a ham, do you know what Walmart paid for that ham?
No.
They're selling it for what they deem is the price that they want to sell it for. You either buy it or you don't buy it. But do you think the farmer doesn't feel the same way that the trucker does, because he sees that they make, he makes, let's say, $800 off of the pig or $1,000, and after the processing and the resale, they make $3,000 off the same pig, right? So, as humans, once again, we're a bunch of unhappy people that are always kind of being nosy about something that it's not our business in a way.
Right. And, when I hauled that load to Washington and I found out that the broker was, had kept 50% of the load, that the one question I didn't ask when I was at that shipper, but I jumped on the phone immediately and called to talk to the shipping management office, their line haul office, and I found out that with this company, they will let a small owner operator with one trailer fill out a carrier packet and haul for this company. And
So
every
you was originally happy with the $4,700, correct?
I was, until I found out how much it was, and then I was unhappy. And then I called. I was like, "Hey, can I haul for you direct?" And it turned out that I could haul direct for them.
And you filled out a carrier package with
I
them,
filled
right?
out a carrier packet, sent out the insurance certificates, authority letter, and then every Monday I would get an email for the scheduled loads that they'd had to move up to. I think it was 8 or 9 days or something like that. I would just have to figure out a backhaul to get back to that area to pick up a load.
Correct.
And then
But you were proactive about it.
very proactive about it. And that's how you find direct shippers when you're out there and you think a broker is doing you wrong. But if you have a broker that's taking care of you and he's feeding you and you're making good money, I'm kind of, I don't think I would crap on him and try to cut him out. Or
I've had brokers that I still talk to 20 years later. They became friends. I get Christmas cards. I give them Christmas cards. I ask about their kids. I didn't feel like they were cheating me.
no.
So I wasn't going to try to undercut them if I didn't feel like they were cheating me, and try to take their freight that they was moving and try to get it myself.
Right.
But anyway, let's move on to the trucking economist. This is from Transportation Nation, Daniel. And they think that the trucking economists say conditions could soon rival the worst of the Great Recession. I think they're right.
Now, is this going to be a recession or a depression?
I think it could be a depression very easily, because this is not 2008. This is a total different scenario. Before this pandemic hit, we had talked about a recession.
Right.
And recessions come around in a cylindrical way. So you can see them coming. You can have your savings prepared. If you're good with it, it's also a good. Someone always loses money in a recession. Someone else makes money in a recession. I always try to be ready to make money.
Right.
But with this pandemic getting on top of this, fuel prices are in reverse. The last recession, fuel surcharges were paying $2.50 a mile. I mean, it was crazy. Something I don't remember exactly. It was crazy. I was making more money off of fuel surcharges than I was on the load. Just so I slowed down, made money. This recession, pandemic, and whatever it leads into, at the moment, fuel is falling. So I didn't even look up the national average for the fuel surcharge, but I bet it's about 23 cents or something like that.
Yep.
And of course, if you're running the spot market, you got to build that into your load, or try to.
Right. And crude oil actually dipped down into the negative price per barrel.
On all of the landlocked producers that don't have access to the sea, it's under zero right now. That doesn't mean that they're going to pay you to buy gas at this time. It just means that they're getting a really good deal. So this article talks about the panic buying has slowed down. Combine this with widespread continued shelter-in-place orders requiring non-essential businesses to close. It's causing a lot of economic turmoil. And it certainly is. But like we said, things will get better. Out of the ashes, we're going to rise.
Like a phoenix.
That's right. I didn't make that up. I heard it on television.
I'm not going to judge. I liked it.
Okay, and everyone knows that the PPP is currently out of money. They have approved how many $1 billion Part 2 stimulus plan?
It's a lot. I don't remember right off the top of my head.
I think it's around 349. Yeah, 349 business is the next go around. I haven't seen anything. I actually did fill out an application. I'm not too worried about it I'm going to take it if they give it to me. But I'll tell you what, there are people that need it worse than me.
Right.
And I feel like that if I don't get it, somebody else did that needed it. So I'm not going to cry about it. Anyway, you want to finish this up, Daniel?
I will. I just want to say thank you to everyone that watches the show. I appreciate the Truck and Review channel. I thank all of our subscribers. Guys, if you have any questions about the markets, the stock market, anything that we could answer, we will do our best. Just put it down in the comments. Hit that like button. The DAT is Trucker's Edge is an amazing tool. I hope you have it. I hope you're utilizing it. You can try it for 30 days for free on DAT's dime. Let them pay for it, and you guys can see if you like it. If you like it, keep it. I'm a huge fan of it. TRC has used it in the past. He loves it. There's a lot of people out there that do, including big carriers that will use the DAT load board. In this market right now, there's a whole lot of big companies using it. So check it out and see what you think.
Always remember, stay safe, stay profitable, and stay happy. Bye, guys.